Hey, what's going on, guys? This is breaking news. This kind of ties into what I was talking about last night with North Korea and Syria. This is on the Syria side. U.S.-led airstrikes on Syria. Military hit tank and construction equipment. Casualties likely. Okay. So anyways, I'm going to read a little bit of this article. I will post a link in the description for you guys, and you guys can read everything else. Alright, so anyways, let's go ahead and get started, and then I'm going to comment on a little bit as I report this. Fill you guys in a little bit deeper from what I know. Alright, so the U.S. coalition airstrikes on Syria forces near the city of Antif hit a tank, a bulldozer, and a construction equipment. U.S. Central Command did not rule out casualties, but RT, it told, not report a body count. So, they're basically saying that there's no casualties, but they're not going to rule it out, and they don't want RT News to report a body count. Okay, let me see. CENTCOM told RT News that the assessment of Thursday's attack is being conducted, but that even when it is completed, there would not be an exact body count reported because they don't have ground access. The International Coalition of Operation Inherent Resolve and Syrian force posed a threat to troops of the United States and the coalition. The TANF base is located near the borders of Syria, Iraq, and Jordan. You remember last night I told you guys, I didn't know if you guys was aware of it, but the United States has a massive military buildup on the borders of Jordan and Syria. Okay? And this kind of goes back in what, this has been going on for a while now. The only reason why we was supposed to be in Syria was to fight terrorists, ISIS. Now again, it all been speculated that United States wants to do a regime change over there. And if you pay attention to mainstream media, that's kind of the portrait that they're painting of Bashar al-Assad. Sort of like what Saddam Hussein was. He's killing his own people, with chemical warfare. I told you with the facts and everything that's been coming out, ever since April, I seriously think the sarin gas was a setup. I'm not saying by, anyone. However, I think it was misled of information. The Syrian army, the government, they're in the middle of a civil war right now. They have been for quite a bit. Alright, so not only do you have a civil war going on in this country, but you also have, so many different other governments with their fingers involved, pulling strings puppets. There's Russia sitting over there protecting Bashar al-Assad, and in the background's helping him fight the rebels. Then you have United States being involved. We was only going to be over there, and we had an agreement with Russia, if you guys remember clearly, to only fight terrorists. Okay? The reason why it all fell out was because fingers pointing. This is back in the Obama administration, so no one can sit there and say that this is Donald Trump's problem. He caused it. He's the reason. No, this goes way before him. Okay? If you guys remember, all the banter towards the end of Obama's presidency between Russia and Vladimir Putin over there with the ceasefire in, what was the city? Raqqa, I believe it was. Or Aleppo. I'm sorry, not Raqqa. Aleppo. That was a humanitarian crisis left and right. We were supposedly over there bombing ISIS. Russia being over there supposed to be doing the same for us. However, Russia called American troops out for blowing up a hospital and killing civilians. Okay? Now, so it kind of goes into, the banter back and forth. You did this, you did that, blah, blah, blah. And then there's this whole false flag with the sarin gas in Bashar al-Assad. Now they're calling it, we need to go in and do a regime change, just like we did in Iraq. Okay, and that's the portrait that the mainstream media is painting out. It's only one-sided. Either they're talking shit about Donald Trump and trying to delegitimize him, or they're painting the picture of North Korea and Bashar al-Assad. They're trying to justify a war. Okay? Again, last night I said that there's new information stating, that he's burning his own people, crematories. So they're painting that picture of Bashar al-Assad. I reported to you guys last night that the United States did have military equipment on the border of Iraq. Well, I didn't say Iraq, but if you look at the geography of Syria and where everything sits, Jordan, Iraq, and Syria. They're right there on the border, that massive military buildup. Alright, so anyway, Syrian forces allegedly entered a so-called deconfliction zone in the Homs government of the clash with the Pentagon-backed Magawa al-Thawra. I'm sorry if I say that wrong. Militants, formerly known as the New Syrian Army, which called in Coalition Air Force. So, that's the rebels that's fighting against Bala al-Assad and his regime, his government. We're calling him the New Syrian Army. You know why? Because United States, if you guys remember 2 years ago, we was over there only to put boots on the ground to train them to fight against ISIS and Al-Qaeda. You know, we built this. Okay, so anyways, the issue of establishing and expanding the de-escalation zones dominated discussions between Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and the President of the United States, Donald Trump, at the White House last week. Okay, that's last week, and mainstream media is now pointing it out that Donald Trump didn't let any American reporters in there, but, you know, he let all the Russians, so now they're trying to build yet another claim against Russia, but this is where Russia comes into play in this whole thing. Donald Trump don't have ties with Russia. Okay, he don't know Vladimir Putin on a personal level. Does he do business in Russia? He did. He did. I mean, he's a businessman on a world level. You know, you can't condone a man for business that he did years ago before he even thought of running for president. You just can't do that. They're pinning everything on Russia because it goes back to a couple months back. You know, last year with the Obama administration when they all started pointing fingers at each other. You know, for the ceasefire in Aleppo. This is where, you know, Russia's banter is coming from within Syria. Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to work this on my Xbox until I get a setup. U.S. Defense Secretary James Mattis and the airstrikes did not represent Washington's increasing in its role in Syrian civil war. That may not be the case, but I kind of see a false flag here, guys. So basically what happened was there was a convoy heading to a de-escalation zone. The United States is saying that they shot off a couple warning shots, and they didn't respond. So they got shot down by a United States plane that came in from Jordanian borders. Alright. This has been talked about for a while, guys, with Syria. You know, the regime change, the civil war. You know, they're over there having a civil war. We went over there, and we wasn't supposed to get involved. Hell, you know what? When Donald Trump started going after ISIS, we wasn't in Syria at all. You know, I mean, we was, but not at this level. The only reason why we're at it in this level, and now we're getting involved in this, is because we was kicking ISIS's ass so bad that they ran into Syria. Bashar al-Assad never gave us an invite into his country. We just kind of walked up in there. Okay? So, anyways, guys, this is something to pay attention to because, again, like I said, Russia's backing up Bashar al-Assad. Okay? Not only for government, but, you know, they're allies. Okay? Another reason to keep an eye on Russia. With everything going on in Syria, and you have all these other pro-government, you know, thugs that's in there, you know, all these terrorist organizations, all of these underground militias, you know, all the governments, you know, the Middle East is a really bad spot to be right now. Anything could pop off, and it could really start World War III. United States, they can do an airstrike, you know, claiming that they're going to be hitting, you know, terrorists, and if there's any piece of misinformation, they could actually hit and kill Russian soldiers, and if you do that, that would be an act of war against United States for Russia. You know, Vladimir Putin, he won't put up with that stuff, guys. Alright, and then not only talking about, you know, everything that's going on in North Korea. Alright, so anyways, another thing that I was reading, this, obviously, I don't understand why this is the short end of the link that I was reading, but I'll get you guys the longer one. It goes in a little bit more in depth about what this was going on. Now, do you guys remember hearing anything about Turkey? Turkey, 2 years ago, a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, close to it, they had a government coup where their people within their own government was trying to overthrow Erdogan. Well, since that coup happened, Erdogan done gained control back of his country. and arrested everyone that was involved and put them in prison, executed a bunch of them. He has under arrest right now and in prison a Christian pastor and his wife. Okay, Erdogan, the leader of Turkey, came to America last night, or not last night, yesterday, Washington, D.C. Hours before he showed up, Donald Trump demanded, didn't ask, he demanded Erdogan to release the pastor and his wife. Okay? Then yesterday, next thing you know, there was a protest at the Turkish ambassador embassy building in Washington, and it got violent a little bit, and now everything that's coming out is saying that it's actually Turkey's security guards that actually started the riots. Okay? And then after all this stuff happens with Syria, it'll be in the link that I'll share with you guys. Everything that happened within Syria, you have Russia, Turkey, and Iran had an emergency meeting as well. What's going on? That's kind of false, fishy as well. Like I said, with everything that's been going on with Russia, with everything that's been going on, as of lately with Turkey, Turkey's been wishy-washy. Erdogan's been praising Donald Trump, but then also he's been saying a lot of shit too. And then you got Iran. Donald Trump doesn't agree with the whole Iran nuclear deal that Clinton and Obama and everyone made with Iran. Giving them nuclear power plus millions of dollars. So Donald Trump's really against that. And just 2 months ago, a month ago, Iran was having protests all over the place. Burning and stabbing fake Donald Trumps. They were burning the American flag, screaming death to America. They're not just mad at Donald Trump. They hate Americans. Okay, why? Because we go in there and we're pretty much the bully of the world. I hate to say that. I'm an American. I'm proud to be an American. But there's a lot of things that America does that I don't agree with. Okay? I'm not going to turn my back on my heritage because of some stuff that's going on. Alright? So anyways, guys, that's something to keep an eye on. I'm sorry for being bouncy a little bit. I'm using my phone right now, my camera, trying to get everything out to you guys. I will post a link to this story, and you guys can read a little bit more in depth on it. I have one of my sources. His name is Stephen Ben Noon. He's at Israeli News Live. You can search for him in YouTube. And he's been reporting on this since April 4th, April 5th, about the whole United States, Syria crisis, and Russia's involvement, and, the Kurds and all that. So if you guys really want to educate yourself a little bit on it, please look him up. And you could probably type in the search bar Israeli News Live and find his channel, and then just start searching his stuff all the way to the beginning of April is when he really been starting reporting this, and he shows the links. He has the setup that I want. He has the TV in the background with the laptop right in front of him. He's reading everything. It shows you guys right there. And he's very knowledgeable. Very knowledgeable. He's actually one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing. I honor his charisma and how brave he is for doing what he's doing. And I think it's a vital, important piece of thing that we need to do. The more people that we have out there spreading the truth, I think the world would be a better place. But as of right now, like I said, CNN, MSNBC, they are the propaganda machine. They are so one-sided. It's unreal. They're still slamming Donald Trump. They're not reporting about none of this. You guys don't know nothing about this because you know why? That don't matter to them. They want to overthrow this government. They want to take control of everything. Well, not them, but, the Democrats. Guys, I'm sorry. Donald Trump is our president. All right? He won the elections the same way that every president before him has won since the beginning of the American history. Okay? Back then, we used to be able to disagree. Now we can't. Because, you got mainstream media pumping all out fake news. You got such a division in this country, they're painting a portrait of police officers being bad. Which, there's a lot that I can see. Some police officers, it's a dangerous job going out doing what you're doing. But, at the same time, excessive is excessive. We spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in training new technology to subdue criminals. Not kill them. So I don't condone a lot of that, but also at the same time, I do believe if you do the crime, you do the time. You know, I don't think some people should die over it. The only way that I think weapons should be used is if weapons were used. You know, God forbid, you try to get stabbed, or, you know, the assailant pulls a gun out on you. I get that. I get that. But, you know, we're all human beings. Imagine being a parent, okay, and you're telling your kid to come here because they're in trouble, and they run. You get up and you run after them. What's happening? You're getting more and more angry. Okay, that's human nature, guys. Human fucking nature. Doesn't give you the right to hurry up and pull a gun out and shoot someone just because they stole a pack of ho-hos. Or whatnot. Okay? I'm not saying that's what happens every time, but some cases are more severe than others. Alright, guys, so anyways, please keep an eye on this Syria problem. You know, this is another issue that could spiral way out of control very fast. Again, like I said, it just takes one bad piece of information to blow up a site where there was Russian military, you know, Syria military. You know, we're supposed to be there fighting ISIS. Now we're talking about a regime change, which will be another Iraq war. However, it'll be on a bigger scale because you have a lot more countries involved in this one. It's the sad truth, guys. The Middle East is a mess right now. Okay? Keep your heads up. Be safe. And I'll see you guys later.